Hey everyone, this is Manly Badass Zero, and welcome back to The Letter. Previously we met Luke, and then we kicked Luke in the balls. Good. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Scales become a bundle of nerves. You could say I'm nervous. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. I think being my fourth cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. That's a lot of caffeine. Or is this the fifth? God! Why does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part, after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those were just stories, a centuries-old lore passed by locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my dad's books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. It's true. Tree giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from mother's womb, or hell, there's even one story about a demon baby. All folklore that had never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives there back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank. Perhaps I shouldn't have listened to Ash and followed my suspicions.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Yes, my dead friend that was killed mysterious was right all along. A terrible thing, if true. Though that doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon, the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up, my brows knit together. Marianne McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person in my contact list. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eyes zero in on the book lying wide open on my table. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff, apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end, she's given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and, well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out, about one or two, depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I had anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly invited me out for one reason or another. Days later, our friend ends up murdered, and I'm looking down at her lifeless body. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of the said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and really hoping for distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time, I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
Have you seen some kind of person that has a lot of money wandering around? Blonde, kind of talks like this. Look, children, a poor person. Throw money at them. Laced with spikes.
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
Oh, you're talking about someone else, okay. It's a peculiar question to ask to someone you've just met, but I answer her, nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised, third-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah?
Some say there's some kind of weird Let's Player that wanders the halls. He makes this weird funny voice that sounds like a rich person throwing money at people. It's a local folklore.
But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
They say if you donate to his Patreon, stolen from a comment this joke, you might hear him call out.
No! Let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. And
He'll make out the call. I love money. I'm going to throw it at poor people. This is a very extended gag.
Alright.
It's so extended, it's gonna pop up in a weird spot later and you'll never expect it.
I really
Wait for it.
don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, you know, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must have not have lived here long, if she's just asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella. Superstitious down to the last hair. Though, it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now. Despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is, oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
Oh god, it really is a situation where everyone sees the ghost, but like doesn't want to like admit to it to each other, so they all just kind of like bump each other like bumper cars and like, oh, yeah, remember there's a ghost? Oh, nope, bumping into the cars. It must have been the sunny weather. Actually, no, this is her line. This is not voice. They said there was a few bugs when it came to this. It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things. That's the more accurate Marianne voice in my opinion. See things.
No, wait. It's alright, I don't mind.
There's a moment pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This is a silly thing to talk about. Especially between, what I assume, two people who are pretty grounded in their beliefs with regard to these things. And I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Well, give me a few more bad endings and I'll be able to tell you the lore.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary. From the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built. Up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Should be like two, though? Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Probably been torn down. Demolished even, yes. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard before, yet there's this satisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories.
A ghost theory.
Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
This would be a good opportunity to maybe talk about Lady Charlotte.
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know?
Okay.
By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly, leaving me, the Let's Player, unsatisfied along with the audience that's most likely watching from a distance. That part was ad-libbed. Just in case you don't know. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in light of what little I've gleaned from the conversation. This game doesn't talk about Let's Players at all. I'm just adding that stuff. Just so you notice. You know. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine. I'd give her that. But she left a lot of things out. I get the sense she only asked because something's happened around her too. And if she hasn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Doom. Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed of what we have. And if we want to find out what we're dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay, as I step out of the room ready to put on an end to this day. Lol. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Look. Look. I'm gonna use that from now on. Your name is now Look. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts for every good impression people have of him. Without care or thought. I feel like the writing is taking a little hit lately. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
Look, right?
An ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand. Partly raised, almost poised for a knock. A slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back, and towing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. Anime girl, I'm Luke. He resembles a fish flopping for air. Actually, my sounds are pretty accurate, the way he's moving his arms. Though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes, look, at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. Look at that rude finger. I do my best to stare at the offending digit down, but I can only hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
No.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
Exactly what I needed.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite?
Let me just hang out with the people who are surrounded by the ghost.
I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. A grimile? Or maybe a smith. Or mesmo. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tio said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal, and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. On a different front, the ever-free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes. I feel like she has puppy eyes 24/7. Damn thing like fish bowls. But the second I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun! You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
I feel like we'll be so used to hearing nicknames we'll forget Rebecca's actual name.
Oh, well,
It'll just merge into one super name, Miss Pink Daisy. My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence. And for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I said it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. Oh. Hey, Buck, I'll be around someone this evening. I need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after seal. Just the usual. Unlike what he does with Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by or he's in the area for some business. From Wade's phrase, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with every other man. Isabella's dead. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Except she's no longer there. Look at that little trigger pop up, if that scenario ever comes to pass. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and, well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he does detest attending gatherings like this. It's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates him. It's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still. Tough choice, but I had to pick one. This is actually a major branching. You'll get. This route is so big. So, obviously what it's going to be is the Luke route increases Luke affection, the Ashton route increases Ashton affection. So it's just a matter of like which one you want to raise. Probably determines the ending a bit. We're probably going to do Ash's route first. I feel like I've had enough for Luke for now. And I'll go back for Luke later. Sorry, Kylie, but I'm not really too fond of you. Though when you look at it closely, it is such a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, remember where I look at this, it is inappropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be fully specific, I'll give it a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that's enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie is the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be, and if there's one ugly thing about the city, it's this place's penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go, how many years it'll reach. What if Ashton hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences of that. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. Being in the center of a rumor mill along with this man in whatever form it takes sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown my face as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
Maybe next time.
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. A little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
Heat instantly crawls up my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, would I give her another chance to put a real dent in his skull?
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, you There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
Luke's taking this really well.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss a chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Wink. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Though, I must admit, the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight in itself. He says he dislikes the idea... Updated. Wait a minute, what? Did it go up? I gotta check this. I'm not really sure. It says it updates, but stays right around the same. Interesting. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own. It's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. What's stopping him? It's something to mull over, along with every confusing and frustrating thing about this guy. Some other time, though. Ashton's waiting. His car headlights have been left turned on, illuminating the otherwise empty parking lot. If it was like that, this is probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would probably have a few hundred words to say about this before letting it go. Not many in this complex own a vehicle. Anyway, there weren't the space's frequent use, owing to this area's proximity to downtown Luxborn. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its lights on for a few minutes. Right now, though, it serves as a pleasant company, while I idle sit inside my own car, thumbing the invitation's fine print, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar enough. What should I say? How should I say it? Hey, do you wanna go to the dance with me? It's at that place, you know, where our friend visited and died afterwards. There's some rich people there. They throw money at people. There's a very high chance he'll say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? Turn into an anime girl. Fears. Doubts. Questions I haven't asked before. And more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. 17 years ago, I've been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow, nothing has changed. Perhaps if he noticed how I've always felt about him years ago, I wouldn't be in this predicament. Honestly, he managed to ace all those exams at school without even lifting a finger, and he couldn't figure this out?
How dense can he get?
But I can't very well wait for another 2 decades just for something as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like it's going to be a date. Although frankly, I wouldn't mind if it is. However, that's a wish best reserved some other time. I won't get anywhere if I just keep thinking about the what-ifs. Gathering all my thoughts and courage, I step out of my car and gingerly make my way upstairs, invitation in hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there's a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Weighted, but the sort that slowly trickles through you, until the burden of it finally bogs you down with some kind of disquiet. The days since have been uneasy, and Isabella's absence from her flat does not help settle it. Every day, coming home somewhat feels like an uphill battle in itself, leaving you spent when you're supposed to be getting some rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing? I certainly am. The same weary slump is also on Ashton's shoulders once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually on the rails, his back against his mill's surface, or reading through a bunch of papers. Each one appears more important than the other, despite me having never read a letter of it. He'll probably head back to a precinct after this. He's not going to drop by Zachary's for a bit of shut-eye. No rest for the wicked. But no matter how occupied he seems, he pauses anyway and looks up from his work the moment he hears my treads. He raises a hand in greeting as a small smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return it to him.
What brought you here?
There's a story trigger there. That's probably based on your affection for Ash. So like if you have bad affection with it, it'd probably be like a frown. He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor even a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question, like every single time I've asked. But then, he shuffles the documents back to a binder, and sets it aside with a huff. It sounds more fatigued than ever I've heard from him recently. Either there's simply too many things keeping him busy at once, or his investigation isn't going too well. Maybe even both.
Just work.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way. I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi. Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty. Anyway, do you want to come in? But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know? Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
Surely you can't be serious.
You and your bloody car.
The first time I heard the name, I did a double take. The way he put it was as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere, surprisingly got along with and grown fond of. That sounds like a car to me. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside of a small circle. Honestly, it sent a surge of panic in me. It lasted for days, until he proudly introduced me to his new car. His car.
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. You'll hurt her feelings. I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
Nothing unexpected, but admittedly, I'm hoping he'll stay for a few minutes. Suddenly, asking him to accompany me to some housewarming party is starting to turn into a bad idea. If he can't be bothered to spare a second of his time to his friends, what more if he has to stand some hours in a room full of strangers?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off, could have been sentenced on purpose, leaving it for me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift, momentarily, towards the door closest to us. Isabella's unit. Eerily quiet now in her absence. The instant his lips curve into a small frown, his shoulders tense, and a work is far from his reasons for being here. Being all too aware of that idea alone summons a never dull ache straight into my chest. Like every time, every single moment, he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare others. While there's a worry bear left for a different situation, it twinges the heart, nevertheless.
Is it the case? Were you able to smooth things out with the chief and Inspector Abigail?
Yeah, they let me back in. A few hours after another sermon, though. But it's not that.
He stalls, several seconds too long for comfort. Minutes later, he takes a step back, stuffs both hands to his pockets before looking away. It's like he doesn't want to be here. His posture, on its own, screams his complete reluctance to be the one delivering whatever this is. Is there anything worse than the one we got last time? Or the one I saw? Somehow, part of me no longer wants to hear him out, if this will only be another unpleasant news.
Actually, it's... LPD's been in contact with the embassy, and her family back home.
Oh, how did they take it?
As one would expect. Her mom was in shock, of course. The eldest guy I talked to, the one she complains about a lot, I kinda see why. He threatened to kill me if he found out I'm lying. Swore he'd take the first flight here. As if you could lie about something like that.
And her dad? Does he know?
No, I think they're putting it off until he's well enough to take the news. They're already making arrangements with the embassy now. Her aunt's helping out as much as she can, but there's only so much she can do.
You should have said a word. Is there something we could help with then?
That's why I'm here, actually. They called this afternoon. Asked if we could pack some of her things tomorrow. For shipment. Back home.
Silence descends between us as the gravity of his words sink in. A gut punch, if anything. Suddenly it's all moving too fast. We haven't even come to terms with it, and yet the world was already asking for more.
Tomorrow? Isn't that a little...
Abrupt. Hasty. The right words won't take form. What right do we have to protest us in the first place? Do we even get a say in this? We're just her friends. People she met because happened to end up here. We have no right to hold on to her when her family, people of her own blood, is waiting. For her, they will always come first. But where does that leave us, then?
And what about the case? Don't they want to know who did that to her? Are they just going to leave it like this?
I sure hope not. We can't just drop it. I can't let them. The bastard's still out there.
Then talk to them. You're part of the team investigating this, right? You should be able to reason with them, or... Ashton, you have to try. You can't allow this to...
A genuine plea. Yet under the weight of his gaze and ever uncertainty behind them, the rest of it falls weakly off my lips. Unspoken, fragile mist of silence suddenly stretching out between us. In the middle of it, Ashton stands perfectly still for a handful of minutes. Whatever he thinks beyond the ones he allowed me to hear, he keeps hidden, still unwilling or unready to let go of. When at last he finally decides to break the hush, he merely casts a glance back to the empty room beside us. Gone is that somber mood. When he shifts, his casual, friendly air is back.
I'll see what I can do. I'll let you know. For tomorrow, I'll try to bring Zach for some extra help. He's been saying some weird stuff lately, but I'm sure he'll help out. See you, Becca. Good night.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder, light as he can, before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. His way of offering comfort in the middle of this little mess we found ourselves in. But amidst all this, a tiny voice at the back of my mind nudges at a memory. Something I've forgotten, and the very reason I've chosen to return home early. He's made 4 steps down when realization kicks in, and the awareness of the envelope I've been holding returns to me. Panic rears before proper words can form, or I can think about the situation. A second sooner, I'm calling after him. Quick, be socially awkward.
Ashton, wait!
He halts, 1 foot already down another step when he turns to me, raising an eyebrow and question.
Yeah?
And all of all times, it's in this moment when I falter. Adrenaline from earliest panic suddenly recedes. Good. Initiate the social awkwardness. All of a sudden, none of the things I prepared to say will take form, and I'm caught between simply forgetting about this or just blurting it out to him while hoping for the best. Should I even? Make a save file? Yeah, sure. It went up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with trying, I suppose. I'm not going to lose anything if he says no. Which frankly has a very high chance of happening than the opposite. Though the thought still doesn't prevent heat from crawling up my face and sends my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up and I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon. Do you have time?
A small frown is already on his face. I already see where this is going, and that's what he's thinking from that alone. If for some mullish reason I continue, hang on to that tiny glimmer of hope he'll say yes if I present an argument good enough for him. Concern Ashhhhhh.jpg.
That depends. Why?
Raised eyebrow Ashhhhhh.jpg.
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
I know, it's just... You're one of the few people I can count on with things like this.
That's cool, I appreciate the thought, but really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
Woof.
It did cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too. Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but...
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
Trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents. Apparently, we also met before.
Wait, who?
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hands, gently, but with the same force of urgency in his voice. I don't know what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw together as his eyes scan through the little lines of text print on a small piece of paper. His hold on the envelope tightens with each pass, and by the time he has finished reading, his mouth is formed into a thin line.
You never mentioned this.
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hums something inaudible under his breath, all while thumbing the paper, staring at it as if doing so will proffer him some answers to every unspoken question in his head. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
Alright, I'll go with you.
What?
I'll go with you.
It's not why you think, Rebecca.
That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
It's gonna be the most unromantic evening ever.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
My head reels. Less from what this implies, more from how easy all this seems for him. How fast his turnaround is. He's already halfway down the stairs when any semblance of sense returns to me, and I can finally string 2 words of protest together. Yet, all of it dies on my tongue, at the small smile he shoots me. He disappears from view seconds later. His footsteps gradually fading as he descends the stairwell, till all I can hear are my own shallow breaths and heartbeat, loud, pounding hard against my chest. It is only after I'm standing here alone in my room, minutes later, that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with him, but besides that, more than that, he has also accepted mine. Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. Oh, your hopes are way too high. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion that woman lay silent at the back of my head. Getting close to the destined day. The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there was only a hush, a strange sort of stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morn. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string stretched fin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. It hangs in the hallway. It lingers in Isabella's room, palpable the moment I ease open the door and walk in. The scent of disinfectant greets me upon crossing its threshold. The windows have been left wide open, but it doesn't do much to keep the sterile smell out. The walls and the floors have also been scrubbed clean of the blood, after the police were done with it. Even with all the efforts they've taken, the stench of death endures. But more than that, is the sight of what it has left behind. Posters hanging on the wall, framed photos she keeps on her bedside. The stuffed toys she bought on the whim before, the mess of cushions on one area of the room that she promised to clean. She'd never be able to do that now. Even without her here, the room is still so undoubtedly hers. Ashton and Zachary are already here, each of them having found a corner of the room to start their work. Scattered around them are a couple boxes. 6? 7? Most are still empty, merely waiting to be filled. It's a wonder if it'll be enough to fill all 5 years' worth of memories there. Knowing Isabella, she won't be willing to leave any of these behind. There's no lively chatter, no friendly barrier to greet me, only a fixed silence hanging between the 3 of us. Despite my resolve, I still end up hanging around the door, unsure. From the looks of it, the 2 of them alone can already handle this. But still, I want to help. Even if doing this has a ring of finality in it. I can have a save. Let's see, I guess this is... 3 routes here. Interesting. So let's hang out with Ash. Slowly going up, Ashton does not look up from his work when I approach. He is, however, considerate enough to make room for me, and what little space he's made for himself amidst the room's mess. In the little time he's been here, he's made much progress cleaning up the corner of the room he picked. 2 boxes have already been filled, taped and set aside. Now he's already working for the photos taped in Isabella's fridge, carefully putting them all in a neat stack beside him. With nothing else to say, not even a clipped greeting, we both simply lapse into silence. Working diligently through the clutter of papers and books around us, sorting everything into the boxes. This pile will immediately be sent to her family. It's important. A collection of postcards goes into this other box, for shipping at a later date. Her younger siblings will love it. Only a few soft grunts and hums are exchanged between us, until the minutes blur and we found a rhythm. The one that's only broken when Ashton chuckles. An odd thing to hear in the heavy silence of the room, and I promptly look up from my own work, puzzled. He's staring at one of the remaining photos still fixed to the fridge's door. Moments later, after a bit of his amusement has died down, he reaches for it. It's an old photo of the 4 of us. Taken a few years ago, about 2 or 3 years probably. I can't remember now. Isabella has always been the one to remember these sort of things. Although at the moment the picture isn't the most flattering thing to look at, after she drew over Ashton's face, it's fitting. None of it seems to bother him, though. In fact, with the manner he's staring at it, it's as if he's holding the most precious thing in his hands right now. A tender smile is on his lips, and for the first time in days, his eyes are bright with something close to fondness.
Really, scaredy cat? A mustache? I expect more from you than that.
She was such a child sometimes.
Worse. She's clumsy, a scatterbrain, and a crybaby. In the 5 years we've known her, she got us into all kinds of trouble. More than I can count. Honestly, she barged into our lives with all the subtlety of a bulldozer. The way she came in leaves a terrible impression when you think about it. Who does that?
It sounds like a complaint on all fronts. There's not even a hint of humor in it. Wherever I look at, I'm inclined to think he really means all of it. But this is Ashton. Sometimes, despite what he says, his words carry a completely different meaning beyond what he chooses to convey. It's all a matter of looking beyond it, past his unnecessary criticisms and blunt decorations. I can hear a but.
I can hear a but in there.
I think that... What changed? Let's check.
You're being rude, Ash.
Yeah, that's definitely the negative one. If it wasn't obvious.
I can hear a but in there.
At my words, he stiffens, like a child who's been caught in the middle of his lie. But the unspoken question in it has struck true. Little by little, his posture eases. A gentle expression spreads over his features, as his thumb moves over her face in the picture. All a memory now. Though even before he answers, even while his eyes train on me, I already know.
But it's people like her that you don't forget.
It's the little things, they say. The small sighs, the quiet proclamations, and the hushed gestures that roar louder than any. It's in the way he looks at her, smiles at her, and speaks of her, in the manner of the sharp edges of his features softens at the mere thought of her. Grief underlies all of it, the yearning, but that one fleeting second, this is the one proof he will hold against the world. He loves all of her. Despite the hollow ache in my heart, only a hum of agreement makes a way to my throat. An acceptance. This will always be a part of him. She will always be a part of him, in the same way her presence has wormed its way into Zachary's life and mine. If he never wishes to part with this, I won't blame him. That sentiment goes for all of us.
Do you think she'd be okay with it if I keep this one?
Out of everything, you want a photo where she doodled on your face?
A little bit of facial hair works on him.
What's wrong with it? I think it looks very tasteful. 11 out of 10.
0.5.
I'd even put it on Shirley's dashboard.
Belle would say your taste sucks.
She'd say more than that. She'd probably call me an asshole while she's at it.
You know she didn't mean that.
I think she did. For a long moment he is quiet, as if he's weighing his next words. Outside a soft breeze rustles a few trees within the vicinity, and the gentle tweets of the birds have begun to blend with the distant noises of the city. The world is waking. Along with it, Ashton releases a sigh, softly under his breath, but weighed with all that he's hanging on to.
No, she never did.
Then gently, he sets a photo on a nearby table, separate from the stack beside him. A light draft blows from the open windows, setting some of the papers around us aflutter. But the lone photograph on the table, that one remains, a never memory to keep. However, today isn't the time for those. No further words are exchanged after that, and perhaps it is for the better. We manage to pack most of Isabella's belongings by the time all of us have to leave for work, but at the threshold, we all hesitate. A heavy air hangs around us, a consequence of knowing that this might be the last time we will be doing something for her. Of course, none of us mentions it, even if the meaning's all too clear in our heads. This is a goodbye, if anything. The world outside waits and we can't stay here. So with a last glance, we leave it all of it behind. At least tonight, I'll have something to look forward to. Something to help take my mind off things. And if any hunches are correct, with this all started will provide the answers I'm looking for. The Ermagod Mansion. We still in the same branch? No. That was a pretty quick one. It looked kinda long, but that was pretty quick. Now the other route on there, no way. So this route's not gonna be as long as I thought. It's still a long route, but not as long as I thought. There were some skips here due to our choices. So the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden whatever Isabella claimed dwelling in this mansion becomes the least of my concerns. Severely underdressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Well, that kinda happens when you all wear the same outfits every day. Cars worth more than my own apartment and childhood home combined lined the mansion's front yard. Men and women decked out in their best, also flocked near the entrance. Most were eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about, enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. But once a woman standing at the front porch speaks, their undivided attention immediately shifts to her. Presumably Miss Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among present company. This despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests or not having their husband beside her. I trade worthy of utmost admiration, at best. At worst, she's the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip in Luxbourne.
Welcome, welcome everyone!
And Mum said we could have been good friends. I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guests she has. Though I admit, she does seem familiar, now that I've seen her this close. Memories of sitting in a vanity not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my tastes. They flit briefly in my mind until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience again.
Please, make yourselves at home!
I wish I could share her enthusiasm, really. But being surrounded by all of this extravagance, for lack of a better term, really makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. Also knowing there might be some truth to what lies inside the place helps drive the unease further by a notch. Ashton, on the other hand.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
For someone who abhors gatherings like this, he already seems right at home, sitting with an air too lackadaisical as he watches a valet drive off of his bloody car.
Can't you at least act with a bit more shame?
Becca, if I find a single scratch on Shirley, there will be hell to pay.
Those guys know what they're doing. They're handling cars worth more than your precious Shirley.
My disdain has likely shown beyond the tone of my voice, quite possibly in the form of a grimace. He chuckles. You're right, I never really do see you smile very often. A rare moment where mirth and amusement danced across his features. Try as I might to pull up a stern glare, I can't help but join him instead. There's something in the lightness of it, and how easy this kind of interaction falls into place. But we don't let feelings get too involved, in spite of being stuck in a situation we're not fond of. It brings back memories. However, the moment doesn't hold. All of a sudden, Ashton grows quiet.
Chief?
An odd expression flashes momentarily across his face. Everyone knows everyone. Though he blinks it away, before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca, I just saw someone I need to catch up with. Longtime friend.
It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, they're focused on some point in the crowd. His gaze, darting between people walking past us until a small frown forms in his face.
Oh wait, Ash! What about...
This won't be long. Be careful while I'm gone, okay?
I meet the smile. He hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? But before I can ask, already, he has turned his back from me and is walking away without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what he warranted this sudden departure and this odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mom's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom.
Yes, Mom, the ghost is there. Yes, Mom, they're already starting to murder people. Yes, I know. Alright, see you later.
Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
The conversation itself doesn't last long. Just a simple hello, a reminder to enjoy the party, and to send their regards to their old student. When the call ends and I get to look up, Ashton's already heading inside. With a sigh and admittedly a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back into my pocket and follow after him.
So much for date.
I warned you. Even with familiar company, this is somehow shaping up to be a terrible evening. The party hits full swing an hour later. Without you. With the host opening remarks given, still no signs of her husband, the poor woman, and the guests promptly fed, the band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Soon laughter and rhythmic tapping of shoes filled the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. It seems fun, I admit. Fascinating at certain moments, the flurry of dancers making the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I'd have joined the crowd for a song or two. There isn't a lack of invitations anyway, plenty of them, in fact, because I'm asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. And I can. A single nod is all it'll take, and the evening would have been far enjoyable for me. The pride in my own silly hopes, the thought of being seen with one of them by him, curbs that, as much as I hate to admit it. It's a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult. Can't even spare me a minute of his attention, or a single glance at me the whole evening. Hell, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. Hey, what's up? See you later. The big guy's busy covering the event, to boot. But at least he managed to slip in a conversation or two between takes, or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. What's Ashton's excuse? Asshole. He's been flitting in and out of sight the whole time. One moment he's hanging around a small group, and another he's hovering around the string band. Just a second ago he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table, a glass of wine in hand. That's the best thing to do at a party. While everyone's distracted doing fun things, go to the free food and eat all of it, then shove the rest into your bag and leave. After you steal the beer, and the vodka, and the money. The next thing I know, he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he only agreed to come with me for another reason.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go fuck himself.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Her voice almost makes me jump. Too focused on the gobshot wandering around the ballroom and my own annoyance to notice. If she's heard any of the profanities I've mumbled, or she's taken notice of my discomfiture, she makes no comment on it. Merely greeting me with a smile, even when I turn my attention to her. Miss Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. Homely, a bit too friendly for my liking. But I guess that comes from being raised in such an environment, and having to deal with pompous, snooty people. Though I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Though she would never any of it. I won't be surprised if she doesn't. It's taken me a while, myself. She's probably met a lot of people like Little Becky throughout the years. I've already forgotten about me or my parents. People like her thrive on connections, after all. Nevertheless, I return a smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this, fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
You're invited by some of the richest people in the area to a giant mansion. What do you think?
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
It takes me a while to realize who she's talking about. Until Ashton walks by again, in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so far this evening. Still without a look of acknowledgement our way, though. Even Miss Wright speaks loud enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend, then? Because that would explain those rejections.
This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I've had in the past in. My coworkers, oh, it's awkward. More often than not, assume he is. Even my neighbors also think we're not him. Ugh. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it, in fact. But his reason's clear to me now. Still, the heat of a blush creeps up my cheeks. I deny already, despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
I do my best to summon a straight face, but before her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter, currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
Considering what we do with Marianne in this route, it's kinda... It's infectious in a way. No sooner I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her intention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. Even more once I mention who my parents are. Her face quickly lights up and fondness graces her face, despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. But of course, there are some things we really can't avoid talking about. After all, it's one of the few things I remember her asking me, the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. "Do you have a boyfriend?" In retrospect, it's an odd thing to talk about as children, and there are loads we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
I believe I still have the clothes she gave me. Chosen. All so I could impress him. And even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one attempt to get him to notice backfired spectacularly. Sure, he's keen. He's a detective, for heaven's sake. But feelings, more often than not, escapes him. He's not entirely clueless about it, I know. He won't be harboring affection for someone else if he is. Only those that aren't of his own escapes him.
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
Art for aardvark, which makes the whole talk all the more embarrassing. And the more names she lists off, the more my discomfort grows, till my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is, married to a man she most probably loves at that. Actually, I'm not sure. Conflicting chuckle. Well, I'm still stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. I take that as a chance to change the subject before anything more can be said over the matter. I even sort these things out for myself.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Though to be frank, I doubt she'd be so willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
No one's ever going to use the name Rebecca.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta.
That's symbolic for the fandom of this game. Hoping for a happy ending.
I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best.
Prepare for suffering.
If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it.
Hypocrisy, that's what this is. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing? No wonder I lost him to someone else, long before my own feelings are known. And then, I go and act as I'm entitled to any of it. That, by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whenever I feel for him. But he's not allowed to look at another because I'm the only one who stayed by his side the longest. Dang anime girl syndrome. When in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. This is something I cannot force on him. I can only hold on to these, take care of it, till the time comes I can confess it to him. Great, if he reciprocates, but if he can't? If he won't? Selfish. I've been too selfish.
But what do I know?
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
At one point, maybe I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks have also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, it turns out whenever I previously know may not even be true for other people, or for myself. It is sobering and almost funny, how things that might have stood much certainty before now has doubts muddying each of them. There'll be time to mull about these later, because when the hush lane descends the room, a whole different issue rears. Oh no! especially when Luke, fucking Luke, strides into the now quiet ballroom, fashionably late and oozing with the same pompous mien he always carries around with him.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Before long, Hannah leaves my side to join him. It does take a genius to piece it all together. Oh, we're gonna see some interesting things in this route, your choices. This is where it's gonna branch based on how Hannah's route went down. Oof.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city. Of fucking course. I should have known. But I'm partly at fault here. Tabloids and gossip columns have never really been my thing. I should have also expected that wherever Luke Fulton Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. He seems the kind of person who revels in it. Figures he'll find him on its own, even when he's not asking for it. Happens amidst a round of applause and hoots. That people lagging behind the crowd they've gathered does not catch on, until the cheers turn into several scandalized gasps.
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby?
Technically she has one.
Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
The commotion doesn't go further, despite the drunk woman appearing like she has plenty more venom to spill. In a little while, security shows up, escorting her out. Apparently, she's the chief inspector's wife, too. As if this whole thing can't get more fucked up than it already is. What a mess. The damage has been done, and beyond the repercussions this will bring, I'm more worried about Hannah. Maybe Luke, too, in part. I've seen the man that hides behind his self-importance, and as someone who cares for the person who stands beside him. And how questionable that is now. Though sometimes mere affections aren't enough.
And I've had enough of you. So guess what? Fuck you, Luke.
What did the text change?
We agreed to never talk of this, woman!
Did we? I don't remember.
I don't know how long this has been going on. I don't know either of them well to judge for myself. I'm simply an outsider who happens to have some kind of connection with the both of them.
Face it, Lucille Mitchell-Wright. You owe me everything.
I owe you everything. I owe you everything? Who's running the business now while you sit at home like a pretty princess?
If I recall, you told me to retire so that I can enjoy my time as Mrs. Luke Wright.
I wouldn't even bother with other women if you were still Hannah Evans! You used to be your own woman! You used to be someone who I could fucking look up to! Now look at you! If I wanted some brainless bint, I'd go to the whorehouse and play any old strumpet like a fucking fiddle. That's all you are now. A brainless, good-for-nothing.
But the second Hannah raises her hand, I know it's far too late to save an already crumbling relationship. Long before her palm connects with his cheek. The sound of it echoes throughout the whole ballroom, loud enough to silence everyone. The quiet does not persist, however, and in an instant, Luke orders every guest out.
That's it! This party is over! Everybody leave before I have you all thrown out!
There's shuffling. A minute of reluctance from every head in the room. But in the end, his anger forces everyone to comply. Chatter explodes throughout the whole foyer, once the door has been promptly shut. Worried murmurs, clicking of tongues, and inappropriate gossip filters through the thick tension in the room. I couldn't care less about any of it. Besides, it's pretty obvious what the topic is. Most of them haven't even left the premises and already talking about it. Tomorrow I'll be in the news for sure, and every local broadsheet and tabloid in Luxborn. Simply thinking about it already gives me a headache. When the shock has faded, I just feel bone tired. I've accomplished nothing what I've come here for, and Ashton's nowhere to be found. I'm not sure what pisses me off more. That he ignored me the whole evening and I'm just left without saying anything, or knowing he obviously has some other motive for being here. Can he at least trust his own friends for that?
He didn't have to lie to me.
The only way to be had in this, perhaps, is Zachary's comforting smile when he approaches. He appears as disturbed as when he stands beside me, fiddling with the buttons on his camera even though the device is off.
Eventful night, huh?
You can say that again. It was awful.
He pauses for a moment, stares at me intently. Considering how many people came to this party, that ghost is gonna be working overtime, like going down this list. Be checking it twice. Not the way you want. Then he laughs. A tired one but filled with humor, in spite of whatever he witnessed. Imagine if the ghost like actually literally going down on list.
Let me guess. Ashton.
And like the ghost overlooks like some name because there's just so many names on there, and like it's like crossing him off, crosses off one by accident, and then kind of like maybe after like a couple of months it does like a audit of the list, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, I don't think I got that one. Let me stop by their house real quick. Oh yeah, they're still alive. Yeah, okay. Well, my schedule's pretty busy, but I think I can fit in a ghostly murder, or at least a haunting foreshadowing a ghostly murder at 6:30 p.m. So let's just put that down in my tablet, and there we go. Alright. Good. Man, these things are so convenient. We never had any of these when I was alive.
Oh, what makes you think he's my problem?
Just a hunch. And, it's all in your face, actually.
Why does he have to? I don't understand that man anymore.
Like I always say, you should just...
Oh, you can bet your ass we're going to have a very long talk. I'm not letting him off easy this time.
I'm sure he has a good reason. You won't say it, but he likes being around us. Heck, we're probably the only people he likes. He ain't gonna ruin that for something stupid. He can be dense, but he ain't dumb.
But that's exactly what I've been telling people, isn't it?
We'll see about that. Let's just go. Are you done here?
Yeah, no use staying when...
Just then, the door to the ballroom slams open, and a very irate Luke marches out into the foyer. But now, most of the guests have trickled out of the mansion, leaving only a few loitering around the room. With his fury still at its peak boiling point, it's only natural because they're on the tallest person of his temper's blast radius. No, Zach, dodge! Though he's not really making an effort not to let the remaining people in the hall hear his tirade.
Well, still here I see. Having a grand time, aren't we? Every bloody goss in this fucking city has something to talk about tomorrow. Great news day, isn't it? I wonder what the headlines will be. Cheating husband lashes out at poor wife.
I ain't a part of the media, sir. Miss Wright only hired me for the photos, nothing more.
Oh, the photos, of fucking course, how could I forget? Darling wifey needs a bloody souvenir, doesn't she? Something to remind her of how she humiliated her asshole of a husband.
I'm sure it ain't like that, sir. Ahana's no one expected.
Hand it over.
I'm sorry, what?
Are you also deaf? Do I always have to spell everything out to you peasants?
I use the word peasants.
Hand the blasted thing over! All of you! If I see one picture, even a single shot of a fucking spoon tomorrow, you will all lose more than your jobs. Now give me the bloody camera!
I can't do that, sir. I do freelance work, and this is my...
Do I look like I give a shite? Give it to me, or...
I wonder what Kylie will say if she sees Tio Luke right now.
For a short second, he looks surprised to find me there. To be honest, I didn't realize I've spoken either until he turns a livid glare on me. A lesser person would probably cower under it. I will too, perhaps, in another situation where he isn't throwing insult at my friend. That one I simply can't let go of.
Oh, Daisy, oh, Daisy. Do you always have to butt in on other people's discussions?
I wouldn't have to if there was actually one happening right now. It's pretty one-sided, eh? A bit offensive, too, if you ask me.
Woman, why don't you just bugger off? No one cares what your opinion is, especially in my home.
You don't have to worry about that, Mr. Luke Wright. I don't have any plans of staying longer. I'm only here to fetch my friend. I wasn't expecting to see an asshole standing beside him, though.
Rebecca, you really don't have to.
Oh, no, you shut your trap. Let her say what she wants. I'd love to hear it. That feisty attitude is going to take you places, Daisy. Fair warning, though, woman, and I've said this plenty of times.
There's a pause as he steps closer, staring me down with almost little to no effort. I do my best to hold it, but won't deny flinching at the tone he takes once he lets loose the next words from his mouth.
Threats do not work on me.
Just kick him in the balls. Then and there, I believe him. This man is capable of doing so much more than what any intimidating remark I can lob at him.
So if you don't have anything worth my while to say, it'd be in your best interests if you remove you and your precious friend from my property. Now, before I get the security to drag you out.
Another person takes that decision out of my hands.
Come on, Becca. He ain't worth your time.
Without wasting time, Zachary pulls me away from him. By the time I've regained my senses, he's already tugging me by my wrist towards the wide open doors. A stubborn part of me, however, a part who has seen the kind of person he is when he's with Kylie, refuses to withdraw without flinging in a last retort.
And here I thought you were a halfway decent guy. Whatever happened to the person his goddaughter looks up to?
He was never there, Daisy. That man died a long time ago. You're better off not looking for him.
I won't. I have no intention to. I can't resist the urge to glance back before I leave. If only I have one last look at the man he really is. Perhaps I should be thankful this brief acquaintance isn't going anywhere. But the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it. Ooh, we have confirmation. Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Are we still in the same branch? Are we? Yeah, we are. Dang. Like the first time I've stepped inside this place in search of Isabella, he was there too, wasn't he? That man, along with his wife and another person, Miss McCullough, and that shadow. No, a woman now. Her, no longer a dark blur. Terror rushes through every vein in my body. A crippling sensation gripping every part of me, while she stares at me with a glare filled with nothing but hate and venom. It's like staring at the eyes of a woman I've unknowingly robbed of something precious. I try to say something, a warning, but Zachary's already leaving me out of the foyer, oblivious. Before I can get my wits and voice it out, someone shuts the door behind us. As if we keep outsiders away from the secrets this mansion possesses.